Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm kicking things off with my top 5, and those are the top 5 stories that I just can't get out of my mind this week. And so I got to start things off by asking, is your team 4-0? I think we're going to make a bit of a tradition out of this, okay? If you're a Chiefs fan or Vikings fan, well, especially a Vikings fan, you're feeling pretty good right now, aren't you? You know, last week we talked about Sam Darnold and how he's doing it for Minnesota. I've been following the story from the very beginning when rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy got injured. It's like, can Sam Darnold step up to the plate? That was my whole thing. Can Sam Darnold do it? He's doing it, okay? And I'm happy to see him shining, okay? He's got 932 yards, 11 touchdowns on the season, really solidifying his QB1 spot, but also his bid for comeback player of the year at this point. And look, I said it last week, I had them beating the Packers. Even with Jordan Love back, I'm like, no, I think he's got it. And of course, the offense is looking really good. I mean, this game was really crazy, started off ahead. A huge thing that we can't ignore with Minnesota is the defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, and his schematic. I mean, first couple of weeks, Minnesota fans, holding their breath, don't want to get too excited, all of that. But then week 3 comes around and the defense shuts down CJ Stroud and the Texans. And then the organization, all of the fans can start to kind of exhale. Whew, say it with me. It looks like we might be doing something this season, right? And okay, something's got to be working. This last game, though, defense looked a little bit shaky, got a little bit comfortable. They're a real blitz-heavy bunch, though. No real superstars on the defense, but the Packers did give them some real trouble, and they gave up 465 yards. But the defense did force 4 turnovers, thank goodness, and that's really in line with what Coach Flores said last week. He said, never get too comfortable, okay? And I think that's what happened when we saw this with the Vikings. They got too comfortable first half of the game, second half it was like, oh, okay, hold on, we got to get serious right now. All right, so never get comfortable, okay? So this week, Sam Darnold's facing off against the team that drafted him, the New York Jets. And he's got an awesome chance to show New York he's no longer seeing ghosts, okay? And after that dreadful Jets-Broncos game, it's certainly looking possible, especially if Rodgers isn't 100% healthy. If you watch that game, you saw he was kind of limping at one point after being tackled. So this happened last Sunday, and, of course, he injured his Achilles the start of last season, tore it, and that was the one that was looking a little troublesome. And it's crazy because I remember a couple Thursdays ago, I was out at Circa in Las Vegas with the big Circus Swim, the huge TVs, and I was watching the Patriots-Jets game, all right? And Aaron Rodgers looked sharp as ever, beautiful passes. I mean, just laser sharp. He was throwing darts on the field, okay? So we'll definitely see what happens in London this time around, so we'll see what happens. But I've got the Vikings improving to 5-0, okay? I'm crossing my fingers, but I'm excited for them, and, they're going to have some real decisions to make if this season ends well, like what to do, for example, with rookie J.J. McCarthy, who was slotted to be the starting quarterback until he tore his meniscus, and that's how all of this set off. So would the Vikings let Darnold walk in free agency and give JJ the reins? I don't know. We're going to have to see how this 17-game season ends. It's hard to believe we're just getting started. Everybody's so invested. We're 4 games in right now, and it's like, everything's going crazy, but it's a conversation to have in the future for sure. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the AFC West. Let's talk about my hometown team, Kansas City, okay? And look, we're also 4-0, and fans want to see the team look a little bit more dominant. We've been feeling a little shaky in these games, but we've been winning. We've been winning, though, and that's really what it takes. If you're the reigning champs, you got to come take it from us. I don't care if you say the refs. They said the same thing about Brady, but he's the GOAT. Like, you know what I mean? It's just the way that it is. I've seen the refs help out other teams this season as well, all right? But anyway, we want to see the team look a little bit more dominant, and I think it's coming, although some very serious injuries to consider. I mean, we've lost Hollywood Brown, Isaiah Pacheco. They're on injured reserve. Isaiah Pacheco, I miss that guy, running back, real solid. And then Brown, I mean, for example, he's probably not going to be returning for this season. Pacheco, he's going to be out for weeks. I mean, the earliest we might see him back on the field, maybe the end of the month at the earliest, or perhaps sometime in mid-November if everything heals well. I mean, and then what we saw against the Chargers, oh my goodness, with the collision of Mahomes and Rashee Rice, that just took my breath away. I mean, all of Chiefs Kingdom panicking when they saw that. He was carted off the field, looked absolutely terrible. Everybody worrying he had a torn ACL. It definitely did not look good, okay? But now we're hearing some news that maybe it's not as serious as all that. So we are praying, we are hoping for a speedy recovery on his behalf and all of Chiefs Kingdom. But he definitely won't be playing week 5 against the Saints. And look, That's not a game the Chiefs can lose, okay? The Chiefs are not the Cowboys, and the Kansas City Chiefs defense ain't the Cowboys defense, so they're not going out like that. But Mahomes has got to Mahomes it, all right? We've lost some excellent players, Xavier Worthy and some of the third-string receivers. They got to play their A game. Travis Kelce has got to be Travis Kelce, so Taylor Swift, give that man some extra kisses for luck. I mean, the Chiefs have been looking a little bit vulnerable, especially considering how they haven't won by more than a touchdown so far this season. So it's time to get into high gear. All right. And same for the Raiders. But I'm going to be honest, this season is looking very Raidery, and no, that's not a good thing. And this whole trade situation with Davante Adams has really got things up in the air, just leaving things in limbo at this point. I mean, according to NFL News, Davante Adams, as you know, told the Raiders this week he would prefer to be traded. Now, it's been obvious for some time now that Davante Adams has not been pleased with the Raiders' performance, okay? But it seemed like maybe after Garoppolo left, a change of coaches, Antonio Pierce gets the head coach job, maybe things are on the up and up, but no, the season didn't start great. But I already knew the season was going to be shaky, because if you don't already know who your starting quarterback is during the preseason, injuries aside, it's not good. It's not good, especially when you want to turn things around, when you want to have a winning season, when you have excellent players who are demanding that from you. I mean, this is not the first time we've heard these complaints about the Raiders organization. Any Raiders fan is known. I mean, but, the last player I could think of in recent memory who was really not happy with the Raiders play, Josh Jacobs. And so, yeah, he's with the Packers now. I mean, we did see Adams crack a little bit of a smile after beating the Ravens. Everybody was just, filled with glee. You have head coach Antonio Pierce practically jumping for joy. I mean, it was a huge win, and then you just get beat back down by the Panthers. I mean, yeah, Andy Dalton was definitely on one. Red Rifle came cocked, loaded, all of that. But the thing is it really just brought everybody back to reality, okay, here. And this is still the same Raiders team, still got some Raider problems. And if you ask me, for the past 10 years now, the Raiders have been in a perpetual rebuilding year. At least that's how it feels. And then you've got somebody like Davante Adams, star receiver, 6-time Pro Bowler. I mean, this guy's got 5 1,000-yard seasons, including 2 seasons with more than 1,500 receiving yards. I mean, he's undeniably an asset. But there comes a time that it's not just about the money. When you're rich, of course, right? It's about that ring, right? Okay, first it's about the money, but then it's about, okay, now I want a ring, all right? Or I even want a chance at one. And let's be honest, sticking with the Raiders, I feel like I hate to be negative, but it feels like it's slim to none. And I've watched the Raiders closely. I like the Raiders. And I'm from Kansas City, and people hate me for this, but I feel like I'm the bridge between the rivalry. Like, I really have a lot of love for the Raiders, and, I'm all about it, just win, baby, right? But here's the thing, like, I don't see that happening for potentially another 10 years. I don't think the Raiders are that team. By the look of it, I mean, it could literally be another 10 years before they're contenders, and I hate to say that. And maybe you guys can come back. I want to be proven wrong. I got a hoodie for you, all right? I got something for you. If we look back at this video before 10 years hits and the Raiders have won a Super Bowl, I'm giving away free merch. I've got a really limited edition Raiders hoodie. I've got a Raiders cap for you, all of that great stuff, all right? So now the question is where would Adams go, right? And so we're hearing yesterday's news and whispers, hearing Jets, Steelers, they'd love to have him on the team, all of this. I think about Kansas City, for example. I mean, we'd love to have an offensive weapon like that, but I don't think that would ever happen. Even Josh Jacobs was like, I would never, ever go to the Chiefs. And so I feel like Davante Adams, I mean, that would be crazy. Raider Nation, I mean, all hell would break loose. It's fun to imagine, though, what Mahomes could do. Mahomes to Adams, that would be freaking insane. But the thing is yeah, I could definitely see the Jets. I mean, he's spoken before about how he'd love to be on a team where, I mean, he knows the quarterback, and that would be perfect. Their time with the Packers, I mean, that was a crazy lightning combo right there. And I don't see Adams going to the Cowboys either. I mean, if he's serious about going to a Super Bowl, I don't think that's the team. And I see the Jets, team up with A-Rod. That's your homeboy, yeah, for sure. But you know what I really think would be crazy? That Commanders link up would go insane. Oh my gosh, and they have the cap room to do it. All right, they could take on Adams' salary, and we can dream. Either way, I think the Commanders are going to have a winning season. I mean, they are just really hitting it out of the park. Jaden Daniels, man, they landed a good one with that guy. But anyway, I feel like I've spoken too much on the NFC East anyway. I feel like every episode I'm somehow talking about the Commanders, but I love it because I talked about them before anybody thought they were going to do anything. And so it's so exciting just to follow the story. All right, but back to the Raiders. Davante Adams leaving Raider Nation is going to hurt, but I don't know if anything has ever hurt the Raiders more than losing Khalil Mack to the Bears in 2018. I don't know if that's just my recent recent memory, but I'm going to tell you it was a sad day in Oakland, in Las Vegas, all of Raider Nation. Anybody associated, it just hit different. It just hit different, all right? And if you're watching on YouTube, you got to tell me, what do you think has been the most devastating blow to Raider Nation in the past 10 years? And if we got some older fans in the building, let's go back 20 years. Let's go back 30 years. I want to hear from you in the comments. What really hit you hard about Raider Nation, okay? All right, now switching gears. Can we talk college offense? And no, I'm not talking about Jaden Daniels' fresh take on the NFL offense. They're calling his offense the college offense. I love it. Bringing it to the NFL and winning games. It's crazy. But anyway, we're going to actually switch gears now and talk college football, the SEC specifically, because oh my goodness, that Alabama-Georgia game. Wow, that was insane. Oh my goodness, I had to go run an errand like at halftime. I came back, I'm like, whoa, what just happened? You know, I thought Alabama had that in the bag. They did, but Georgia had one hell of a comeback with a vengeance. I mean, to think Alabama left it 30-7 at halftime, then Georgia comes back. The score was what, 34-33 with 2:31 on the clock. Jalen Milroe shows out with an insane 75-yard touchdown pass to 17-year-old receiver Ryan Williams. This kid is 17 years old, and he caught a circus-type catch, all right? Quick spin. That boy looked like a ballerina on the field, ran it in. Scores 41-34. Georgia gets the ball. Carson Beck gets intercepted. That's game. All right, so after a game like that, it's only natural that the Heisman whispers get going again, right? So Milroe completing 27 of 33 passes for 374 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. But the guy also had 16 rushes for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's a beast of a game for that QB. And so as of this past Sunday, Jalen Milroe is the betting favorite. Now, rounding out the top 3, according to Vegas, there's Cam Ward, which is Miami's QB, and then, this is a really exciting pick. You might already know it. Colorado's wide receiver / cornerback dual threat. That is Travis Hunter. And even his teammate, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, believes that Travis deserves the Heisman. He said it on his podcast after that crazy 48-21 win over UCF last weekend. In the game, you saw Hunter hit that crazy Heisman pose after a wild interception. And Shedeur, honestly, I mean, he's not the only guy who thinks that Travis should take the Heisman. I mean, all you got to do is get on Twitter and you'll see people everywhere singing that young man's praises. Man, he is a fun player to watch. And speaking of the Buffs right now, they've got a nice little bye week, okay, before they face their toughest opponent in the Big 12 yet, and that is K-State. And for me, I have been waiting all year for this game as we welcome Colorado to the Big 12. And this is an official Big 12 opponent, okay, because I feel like everybody else, they're unranked. It's like, no big deal. But this right here, maybe it's just because I went to KU and we had the Sunflower Showdown against K-State. And so that right there, I know K-State is about their business when they're playing football. Now, I am not a K-State fan at all. I do not like K-State. But seeing what they did to Oklahoma State last game, maybe they're on the up and up after getting embarrassed by BYU 2 weeks ago. 29-point loss is crazy for K-State, and that hasn't happened since COVID. They just don't go out sad like that. I mean, they didn't even score a single touchdown. 38-9. That was the score for that game. Then they turned around and mollywopped Oklahoma State 42-20. Defense is going to be key for K-State up against Colorado's questionable O-line. I mean, that really is going to be the key to the game if you ask me. I mean, Colorado still has one of the worst O-lines in the nation. I have K-State winning that game. But I'm going to tell you this. If Shedeur, Travis Hunter, the Buffs, Deion Sanders, if they can make this look really competitive, I don't think that we're going to see much of a slide for Travis Hunter's Heisman position. I mean, I want Travis Hunter to go off. I want them to beat K-State. I don't like K-State. Okay? And I have K-State winning their next 3 games, including my Jayhawks. It's sad to say, man. I don't know, man. I've been watching some of this college football, and, you know, KU, we started off ranked 21, and then now we fell off the board. 4 losses back to back. I mean, hopefully we can beat those Sun Devils this week, but I just don't know. I don't have my favorites. I don't have my Jayhawks as favorites in that game either. But I'm just waiting for basketball. I guess that's always our excuse. All right, we'll be good at basketball. Basketball's right around the corner. It's coming. If Colorado can beat K-State this weekend, they are no longer pretenders in the Big 12. They are contenders. Very serious. very much in need of some respect. So you'll have to put some respect on the Buffs' names, but I'm going to tell you, I just don't have them winning. I don't see K-State going outside like that. I really don't. So I think that'll be their first welcome to the Big 12, honestly, and, we'll go from there. But they've got to make it look competitive. This cannot be a repeat of what happened last year to them when they went up against Oregon. Please do not let that happen again. Please do. And K-State would love to do that. And of course, everything's happening in Manhattan. And if you've ever been to a K-State game, those people are crazy. I went to KU, we're crazy, but those people about football, they're just something else. Oh, it just feels like we're whipping through these stories, man. I'm loving them so much. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. And we're going to wrap things up now with the biggest national story of the week. And it's not sports. It's Hurricane Helene. As of Wednesday, October 2nd, CNN has the death toll at least 162 people across 6 states. And it could continue to rise as people continue to look for those who are unaccounted for. And I want to pass along my deepest condolences to the families, the loved ones who have suffered losses, as well as those who've lost their homes. They've lost their pets, their valuables, keepsakes. And I would never use this segment for any type of political propaganda. I feel the need to say that because there are a lot of politicians in this election season who are using global warming, climate change to further their own agendas in whichever way they want to. Right now, I just want to share facts about severe weather and the direct, measurable, and palpable impact climate change is having on us. Now, this is something I studied in college, in my environmental science classes, biology, all of that, but I'm going to quote NASA directly on this. And yes, Earth's climate has changed throughout its history. There are ice ages followed by warmer periods, and this has fluctuated for at least the last 1 million years. Now, most of these climate changes are attributed to small variations in Earth's orbit that change the amount of solar energy our planet receives. Climate change can be attributed to natural phenomena like volcanic eruption, tectonic shifts, and radiation as well. However, according to NASA, although these causes are still in play today, their influence is too small or they occur too slowly to explain the rapid warming we've seen in recent decades. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to show you this graph here of the past millennia, okay, through the ice ages and warming periods. You'll see the amount of carbon dioxide begins to skyrocket at the point of the Industrial Revolution, the mid-1800s. This is the result of human activity producing greenhouse gases, which is trapping more of the sun's energy, aka, warming the globe. And NASA says this extra energy has warmed the atmosphere, the ocean, land. The evidence is there. And I mean, anybody who lives in Las Vegas or Phoenix, these heat waves are killing us, right? When is fall really going to be here? It feels like every year it's gotten hotter, all right? That's just a small example, whatever. But seriously, global temperatures are rising. NASA researchers say that the planet's average surface temperature has risen about 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 19th century, primarily caused by an increase in carbon dioxide emissions. Okay, most of this warming occurring in the past 40 years. The ocean's getting warmer. Ice sheets are shrinking. Rising sea levels. Extreme weather events are increasing in frequency. And the higher sea level, scientists say, made the impacts of Hurricane Helene worse, increasing coastal flooding on the Floridian and Eastern Gulfs. Warmer waters helped ensure Helene's path as well. Research is showing hurricanes are intensifying more quickly because of that warmer water, and that warmer water with oceans, I mean, it just holds more energy that the storms can feed on. So climate change plays a part, and it's evident, and anybody who's saying that it doesn't play a part is either choosing to be ignorant or has a more insidious agenda at play. And look, I love gas cars, okay? Yeah, I'm not fully sold on electric either. I have my reservations about AI and all aspects of my life, and I know those coal miners need those jobs in Ohio, all right? But that doesn't make climate change any less real or any less true. The research is there. Studies continue. But I think we're all getting the point. We get the gist, right? So just don't say science didn't warn you. All right, guys, that's the show. I hope you enjoyed the topics. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, and then join the conversation in the comment section. I always love to hear your hot takes on these things as well. Wherever you're listening to the podcast, be sure to rate and review. I would love your feedback, but I am super excited. This is my first podcast episode of October in this season, and this is one of my favorite months because, yes, this is when it begins to cool down one day eventually, but it's also spooky season. So I'm really excited. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.